Hi, I'm Cooper.
And I'm Mike. We have a question for you.
Have you ever wondered why Mario jumps, or where most of WarioWare's games came from?
Well, today we're going to talk about the one who did it all, Mr. Game & Watch.
Fire up, way back machine. Relive the classic video gaming scene. Sit down, enjoy the classic clips of memory, courtesy of video game history.
Let's talk about the character to begin with. Mr. Game & Watch is more than one character, but they all have the same name, so I changed them to new names so I can answer this question. Who was the first character in the Game & Watch series? And no, the answer is not Mr. Game & Watch. The answer is actually Mr. Jugglewatch.
21 gigawatts!
Mr. Jugglewatch is the first character because Ball was the first Game & Watch game made. And Mr. Jugglewatch was the only one in that game. Interesting, huh?
The Game & Watch was Nintendo's very first handheld video game device, and really, it was the first video game Nintendo made that was not an arcade machine, predating the NES by a full 5 years. The story goes like this. Nintendo's head of research and development was...
A dude named Gunpie.
Right. Gunpie was traveling on a train when he noticed a businessman bored out of his wits mindlessly pressing buttons on a calculator.
And Gunpie realized something. If people get bored everywhere, what if they could play games everywhere?
So, Gunpie created the Game & Watch as a portable game device based on the technology of the LCD calculators and digital watches of the time. In fact, the Game & Watch also kept time. So that is where it gets its name. It's both a game and a watch. But shortly after the Game & Watch hit, Nintendo had a much bigger success on its hands. One that would change video games forever. I'm of course talking about Donkey Kong.
Dad, that is an episode for the future. Slow down. Anyway, when making the game Donkey Kong...
I thought you...
Let me finish! As I was saying, when making the game Donkey Kong for the Game & Watch...
Oh, now I see where you're going.
Boy! Let me talk!
Okay, jeez.
Anyway... They had a problem. You see, the Game & Watch only uses the X-axis, so it only has the left and right buttons, but Donkey Kong uses the X and Y axis, so they needed to find a way to build something for our friend Mr. Jumpman Watch to jump. They tried a small joystick, but it had 3 big problems. It was too small, it was too fragile, and the DS-style Game & Watch couldn't close with it on there. So they tried directional buttons. But then the player would have to look down to make sure they were hitting the right button. So they invented the D-pad. A 4-direction pad that the player could slide their fingers in the direction of the way they want Mr. Jumpman Watch to go. And so, the Game & Watch made the D-pad.
That is some pretty impressive firsts for the Game & Watch. The first portable video game, and the first use of the D-pad. Both of those things have become a standard part of gaming from there on out. Game & Watch, on the other hand, has kind of faded into obscurity.
What does that mean?
It means that the Game & Watch has gone the way of the buffalo.
But there are still buffalo.
Fine, it went the way of the dinosaur. Look, Game & Watch had a decent run. Eventually, though, the system will slowly die out and disappear. But everybody loves a comeback.
The Game & Watch may have gone out of style. The gameplay and the character never disappear. Games like WarioWare and Donkey Kong Country kept the legacy alive. And the game he is most remembered in is Super Smash Bros. Melee in 2001. And with the new Smash Bros. Game coming out every couple of years, Mr. Game & Watch will live on. And that, my friends, is the history of Mr. Game & Watch.